servers, and I don't want to spend too much time in that because the video is pretty long and I want to finish it. So we're on our third server, and this server we're going to call it our file server. And this server is a server that I particularly like to have as a just that file server. Then you're going to tell me, well, Dario, why will we have this server only for this? Well, file servers are pretty huge. Remember, these are going to be interacting with your Active Directory. Users are going to be storing their data, music, photos, all kinds of information that they use on their workstations, because you're going to reroute it so it can be stored on your server, not on their stations, because it's easier to hack a station than to hack the server for various reasons that we are going to discuss in other videos. Like, these are more protected, they're in better areas, and if we follow some of the recommendations that I'm going to be giving you in the other videos, you're going to see that it's going to be harder to hack in here than to hack in a station. But still, you know, these servers are usually huge and they're going to have a lot of hard drives. So file servers, I like to have them alone. So we're talking now to go into our fourth server. So let's go for the other server. Okay, great. This server, we're going to call it server 4. This server, usually what I do on this server is, this could be your application server. I call it the APP. Okay, this application server is a server that is a little bit difficult to explain, because it's a server that I can't tell you specifically what are you going to use it in your infrastructure for, but I could tell you you're going to use it, because these servers are going to be probably, if you have a QuickBooks, if you have any sort of application that you want to create sharing on it, this will be the area where you replace that information, that application. Maybe a QuickBooks, maybe a BlackBerry application. I have some customers, they have BlackBerries, and you have to load these little softwares that will reroute emails, blah, blah, blah. And it has to be in a server of your infrastructure. Maybe that would be here. It's a lot of different applications. I have other customers, they have these softwares that has to be, they have a key, and it has to be on a server, and that server is the one that propagates the authorizations to the stations so that they could see the application. It will authorize those stations so that they could run. And if this server is not running, they don't run. So this server is pretty important, but it will be as much important as your company designs or defines what it's going to use it for. Some company has application designed by their own developers, so their own developers' applications will probably be on this server. So you're seeing the use of this server. We could probably go into more detail of this server, but I want to keep going because there's a lot more to cover. But this server is pretty important on all infrastructures, and believe me, you don't want to make this server a simple server. It will probably be a powerful server, because this server usually is contacted by all the users and is running every single application. So this server, we could go into details eventually, but it's all I wanted to know from the application server. Let's go to the other server. Okay, this other server is pretty interesting. This will be server number 5. Okay, so we already go through 5 servers. Okay, and we still haven't finished a whole infrastructure. This server is a very important one, maybe your Exchange server. Okay, this Exchange server has a lot of applications if your infrastructure is large and you want to have emails. So if you have emails, this will probably be your POP server, your SMTP server, your Exchange server, your mail server, a lot of different applications within mail. And this server, very important, because a lot of companies have their Exchange, and only on this they invest a lot of money. So this server would probably be one server just for this. And what are we doing by doing all this? Okay, I want to go covering also this at the same time that I go telling you how many servers will you probably need in an infrastructure to make it harder for a hacker to hack in. And you would tell me why. Well, let's begin, because we already have a lot of servers here. Still haven't finished, but look what we got. If a hacker goes in through your mail, will probably be and shuts down your Exchange server, you will still have application server, you will still have filing server, you will still have printing server, and you will still have domain controllers. So, depending on which area or level that your hacker attacks, it won't shut down your whole infrastructure. In this case, your hacker shuts down your Exchange, is over here. Sorry, there it goes. You already have your whole infrastructure down, because he won't shut just down the Exchange because it's all integrated. So he will probably knock down your whole server. Whole company is in the floors. And you're going to think this is not out there. And believe me, there's a lot of companies out there using this type of networks. So Exchange, attack, I still got everything else. They attack my printers. I still have filing. I still have application. I still have email. So let's go to another server. A very important server. Okay. We go here. And we're going to call this server server 6. Okay. And server 6 will be a very important one. Usually in this server I create my VPN server and I create my terminal server. Okay, terminal server and VPN server, and you're going to tell me what are we going to use this one for, Dario? Well, obviously, if you have a large infrastructure, and remember, you might use this type of network when you're talking about 30 users and up. One of the reasons they use these type of networks is because they're 30 users down. So let's do this here, you know. So I don't know if that would be smart. I will probably explain you different ways of, even if your infrastructure is small, you can still share this information within 2 or 3 servers and not have it all on one box and creating major rigs for your infrastructure. But when you have more than 30 users and up, talking about 30, 40, 50, hundreds, this is the infrastructure that you will see, you know, with a lot of servers and each server doing something different. So my VPN server will be a very important server, because if I have users, they're going to be working remotely from their house, maybe from their offices, remote, maybe from their maybe they're in vacations and they still want to connect. You know, we would need to have communication with our infrastructure. And I like to create a server for this because it's easier to manage. You could probably get some routers that would do some of these stuff, but believe me, it's always a way for doing things, and I like this way, and I could back it up. When they ask me why, I know how to back this one up, because this one is good. But I'm also thinking, and I want to make sure that this gets clear, this message, you know, we're talking here, and we're explaining some infrastructures here, but these are Microsoft infrastructures. Very important, because if we were to be talking about Unix, Linux, we'll be talking about Macintosh, we'll be talking about any type of other OS system, Novell, any type of other operating system won't work the same way I'm explaining it here. So you don't probably want to relate this information to every type of network there are out there. I could tell you, and I could help you out on understanding this, that out there, even though there are a lot of networks and there are a lot of operating systems, you still have to know that when a network is Microsoft, they're going to use probably the same schematic. But when they're using Unix, Linux, anything else, they still might not use this topologies that we're explaining here, this kind of schematic, but they still sometimes need to interface with Microsoft applications, because